Where did I come from? Why am I here? And where am I going? Does this life matter? Is there a creator? Am I supposed to live just to eat and chase my animal desires? Is life just a game? And what's the purpose of life? These are some of the instinctive questions that come to mind when considering what our purpose in life is. Acknowledging the existence of a creator is the first step in understanding our true purpose in life. There are many logical and rational reasons for believing in a creator, and I'm going to cut it short to only three very simple reasons why you should believe in the creator of all that exists, which leads us to answer what is considered the most important existential and fundamental question that every single human being throughout history asked themselves at some point in life, which is the meaning and the significance of our existence. If you look everywhere, if you look around you, and this is reason number one, there is more than enough evidence, not only in the universe, but within yourself. This evidence that points to the existence of God the Almighty relates to understanding the origin of the universe. Now, imagine walking in a desert and finding a watch. We know a watch consists of glass, plastic, and metal. Glass comes from sand, plastic from oil, and metal extracted from the ground. All these components are found in the desert. Would you believe that this watch formed itself? That the sun shone, the wind blew, lightning struck, the oil bubbled to the surface and mixed with sand and metal, and over millions and millions of years, this watch came together by random or natural coincidence. Some may jump to the wagon and ask, well, who created the creator or created God? The creator of all that exists is different to his creation. And this is extremely important to understand. The creator is unlike his creation. The creator is eternal, has always existed, and has no beginning. Therefore, the question of who created God is irrational. Human experience and simple logic indicate that something with a beginning does not simply come from nothing, nor can something create itself. If you think otherwise, please help me understand in the comment section how something can create itself. It's simply impossible. Therefore, the most fundamentally rational explanation is that a higher being created the universe. This being must be powerful and intelligent, as he brought the world, the whole universe, into existence and created the law of science which governs it. We can also reason that this being is timeless and spaceless, because time, space, and matter began at the creation of the universe. All of these attributes make up the basic concept of this being, the creator of the universe. This is in perfect agreement with modern science, which concludes that the universe is finite and has a beginning. The second reason, and this is where I want you to pay attention, it has to do with the perfection of this universe that lies in the perfect order and the perfect balance of our complex universe. This is evidence of the existence of an intelligent being. Many features in this universe clearly indicate they were specifically designed to support life, such as the Earth's distance from the Sun, the thickness of the Earth's crust, the speed at which the earth revolves, and the percentage of oxygen in the atmosphere, and even the earth's tilt. If these measurements were slightly different to what they currently are and have been for billions of years, life couldn't exist. Do you know what could happen if the sun tilts from its place, either forward or backwards, by hectometer? The world would die either by freezing or heat. And by the way, the hectometer is the smallest length unit order, the SI International Standard of Units. We do have smaller unit than the hectometer nowadays, especially with the advancement of technology and the discovery of optical microscope, scanning electron microscope, SEM, and others. The point is, in the same way that a watch has an intelligent maker to keep accurate time, so too must the earth have an intelligent maker to keep accurate time around the sun. Could this occur by itself? When you see this order, these precise laws and systems within ourselves and throughout the universe, is it not rational that they have an organizer? This organizer is best explained by the existence of God, the one who brought about this order. Just the human creation is considered a miracle, including its complexity, its ability to heal itself, and many other remarkable capabilities. The miracle of tears, for example, alone would take me months to cover the surface of its scientific makeup. The fingerprints, the neural cells, the heart muscles, the genes, etc. Did all of this create itself? As Allah Azza wa Jal says in the Quran, بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم وفي أنفسكم أفلا تبصرون, and in your own selves, so do you not perceive? Out of the innumerous signs of Allah's power, which are present everywhere in the universe, including the heavenly and celestial beings and creatures, only those signs are referred to here which are available on earth, because they are very close to man's experience, and he resides and moves about among them. Interestingly enough, this verse speaks of man himself. Man is required to ponder on his own body, its limbs and organs. Every single part of the body testifies to the boundless wisdom of Allah Azza wa Jal. And He will make him realize that this small being represents and encompasses almost all the divine signs that are scattered in the vast universe. That is why man is termed as the universe in miniature, because all types of creation are present in his existence. If a man thinks of all phases he has passed through, right from his birth till his death, he may perceive the power of Allah Azza wa Jal as if he discerns Him clearly. Consider, for example, the human microscopic sperm, an egg that is an amazing phenomenon. It is made up of a food stuff and tiniest particles from various parts of the world. If the sperm establishes itself in the mother's womb, then more material is added to it, and it changes into red clot. It then changes and becomes a shapeless lump of flesh, like a piece of meat with no form or shape. Then out of this shapeless lump, bones are fashioned. Then the bones are clothed with flesh, and it starts to take on a form and shape, developing a head, arms, chest, stomach, thighs, legs, and all its members. A wonderful brain is placed under its skull, in whose complicated layers lie all mental abilities, thus equipping it. Allah Azza wa Jal sends an angel to it who breathes the soul into it after the completion of its creation. It is brought into this world where he develops from infancy to full adulthood to old age. Then he gradually progresses from zero level of knowledge and consciousness to an intelligent, rational, and active being. The human forms and shapes are so different that no two faces are identical in millions and billions of people, even in a small area. Furthermore, there are differences in their temperaments, dispositions, and habits. There is unity in this diversity. All this is the marvel of the perfect power of Allah Azza wa Jal, the creator of all that exists, who has neither partners nor rivals. Allah Azza wa Jal says in the Quran, بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم فتبارك الله أحسن الخالقين. So blessed is Allah, the best of the creators. Man experiences all this not from outside himself, but within himself, day and night. Only a person who is absolutely blind and senseless will ever deny the existence of Allah Azza wa Jal, the creator of all that exists. Therefore, at the conclusion of the verse, the Quran poses the rhetorical question, so do you not perceive? A person need not to be very intelligent to understand the facts of life. If his sight is intact, he can arrive at the right conclusion. Reason number one and reason number two are further solidified and explained by reason number three. That is the actual revelation that God the Almighty has sent mankind as a sign of his existence. There are clear signs that the Quran is the word of Allah Azza wa Jal. I'll give you 7 reasons to support this claim. The Quran, number one, is over 1446 years old and contains many scientific facts that were unknown to people of that time and which have only been discovered recently by science. I can go through some of them, but the point remains that there was no way the Prophet Muhammad والسلام, would have known about them. Examples include A, water being the origin of all living thing. B, the expanding universe which just recently got discovered. And C, the individual orbits of the sun and the moon that was recently confirmed by the space satellites through the solar system, planets, and their moons based on their gravitational influence and calculated orbital paths, essentially allowing them to map out their orbits. Number two, the Quran contains many historical facts that were unknown to the people of that time, nor any other nations before, as well as numerous predictions which have proven to be correct and accurate. Number three, the Quran is free from any errors or contradictions, despite gradual revelation over 23 years and covering a wide variety of topics. Number four, the Quran has been preserved word for word since its revelation in its entire original Arabic language, unlike other scriptures which no longer exist in their original form. Number five, the Quran has a simple, pure, and universal message which appeals to man's intellect and inherent beliefs about God the Almighty. Number six, the Quran has a deep and moving effect on people. I challenge you to listen to the Quran and not be moved by its words, as it is the verbatim word of Allah Azza wa Jal, the creator of all that exists. And lastly, number seven, the Quran was revealed to Prophet Muhammad والسلام, who was known to be illiterate, yet contains a unique style of language that is universally as the pinnacle of Arabic eloquence and linguistic beauty. All in all, the most explanation for the many unique and miraculous aspects of the Quran is that it is from Allah Azza wa Jal, the creator of all that exists. The growing numbers of people reverting to Islam on a daily basis is a proof of the validity and truthfulness of the Quran. Now, upon acknowledging that we have been created by the all wise, the all knowing, the creator of all that exists, we would expect to be informed of our purpose. How can we tell? How can we know what Allah Azza wa Jal expects from us? Do we live in a trial and error or make our purpose? Do we go with the flow by following other people and the modern lifestyle? The answer is Allah Azza wa Jal sent prophets and revelation to inform us of our purpose. Allah Azza wa Jal sent thousands of prophets, at least one to every nation, with the same message, that is, to worship God alone and to follow His guidance. How simple is that? Does that make sense? Therefore, every single prophet or messenger instructed their tribes, nations, and people to worship God the Almighty, the creator of all that exists, and follow His guidance. If you respectfully disagree with this, please let me know why in the comment section. Speaking of guidance, the Quran is a book of guidance and explains many concepts, such as the purpose of our existence, who God is, the actions and the rules set by God, the stories of the prophets and their lessons, accounts of heaven, hell, and the day of judgment, etc. The Quran aims to clarify misunderstandings about the nature and the concept of God, such as clarifying that God is one and only. He's not a triune God, nor is He in the form of a man. This concept of the Trinity is not new to humanity. Nations before Christianity had triune gods of their own. Historically speaking, several ancient cultures worshipped triune gods, including the Egyptians with their Osiris, Isis, and Horus triad, the Greeks with Zeus, Poseidon, and Hades, the Hindus with Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, and the Norse with Odin, Thor, and Freyr. Essentially, many ancient civilizations had their own versions of a triad of deities representing different aspects of the divine power. Some nations even worshipped the sun, the moon, and the stars as their triune gods. The pagan Arabs before Islam had 365 gods for the year, one god per each day. The number three has a long history of mythical associations, and triple deities are common throughout world mythology. Theologians, historians, psychologists, and philosophers have considered the arrangement of deities into triplets to be an archetype in the history of religion. Similarly, in Christianity, Jesus is unfairly treated when considered more than just a human being and a prophet, which he never claimed. Jesus, like all other prophets, performed miracles and called to the worship of the one true God, the creator of all that exists. When trying to understand the concept of God in Islam, it is important to discuss the status of Jesus alayhi salam, given the widespread confusion and claims about his nature. Some Christians claim that Jesus is God or part of a Trinity. That is, he is the incarnation of God on earth and that God took on a human form. However, according to the Bible itself, Jesus was born, ate, slept, prayed, and had limited knowledge, all attributes not befitting to God. God has attributes of perfection, whereas man is the opposite. So how can anything be two complete opposite both at the same time? This is not rational. However, some Christians say that God can do anything. And if God can do anything, why can't he become a man? By definition, God does not do ungodly acts. So if God became man and took on human attributes, he would necessarily no longer be God. God the Almighty is pre eternal, post eternal, the first and the last. There is nothing, nobody similar or equal to and like him. He has no partners. His attributes come from his essence. He created everything. He was not created. He did not give birth, and he was not born. He is free from space. That is, he is not limited with any space. He is everywhere. He is closer to everything than anything. Everything is infinitely far away from him. Very clear and cut. Allah Azza wa Jal, the Almighty, the creator of all that exists, says, I am not a human being. And the Bible testifies to this fact that God is not a man. Furthermore, the Bible contains many verses in which Jesus speaks and behaves as if God is a separate being to himself. For example, Jesus fell on his face and prayed. Matthew 26, verse 39. If Jesus was God, then would God fall in his face and pray? And who would he be praying to? Some Christians claim that Jesus is the Son of God. We should ask ourselves, what does this actually mean? Surely God is far removed from having a physical and literal son. Rather, we find that the term Son of God is symbolically used in the earliest biblical languages for a righteous person. It is used throughout the Old Testament for many righteous people, such as David, Solomon, and Jacob, not exclusively for Jesus. Israel is my firstborn in Exodus chapter 4, verse 22, is just one such example. The Quran says, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم, it is not befitting for Allah Azza wa Jal to take a son. He is perfect and flawless. The Islamic belief about Jesus explains who the real Jesus was, whilst maintaining the pure faith about Allah Azza wa Jal and his complete greatness, uniqueness, and perfection. Jesus was as an honorable prophet sent by Allah Azza wa Jal to call to the worship of one God and not a triune God. Going back to our purpose in life, one would certainly acknowledge that our body parts, such as our eyes, ears, brains, and hearts, have a purpose. Wouldn't it then make sense that the individual as a whole also has a purpose? God the All-Wise did not create us to simply eat and empty the filth when nature calls, or wander aimlessly, or to only fulfill our basic instincts and desires. Rather, we have a higher purpose to acknowledge and worship God alone so that we live up in the guidance of our Creator. This guidance enables us to live a successful and blessed life in all aspects. This include personal acts of virtue like prayer, as well as beneficial acts to society, like being good to one's neighbors, supporting one's family, honesty, and caring for animals. God forbids us from worshiping anything else, be it statues, the sun, the moon, saints, priests, fathers, what it might be, or even prophets. He does not need any partners or intermediaries. All of us can always worship God directly at any time. This life is described by God Himself, the Almighty, as a test. And people are tested in different ways. We can't control what happens to us, but we can control how we react. Patience during adversities and gratitude for blessings are a means of getting closer to Allah Azza wa Jal and attaining eternal paradise. We are also warned of a terrible punishment in hell if we choose to disbelieve and ignore God's commands and message. May Allah Azza wa Jal protect us from disbelief. The test of one's belief and faith is in using one's intellect to contemplate and recognize God's signs and live according to his guidance. This is done by submitting to God's commands, which in Arabic means to become a Muslim. God, the one and only, the creator of all that exists. Allah in Arabic has made Islam accessible to everyone, regardless of their history, background, or present situation. Therefore, anyone can become a Muslim by simply believing in and uttering the following testimony of faith. I testify that there is no God worthy of worship except Allah Azza wa Jal, and I testify that Muhammad is his messenger. Jesus, John the Baptist, Moses, Solomon, David, Noah, Abraham, all the way to Adam were all messengers of Allah Azza wa Jal. Isn't it time for you, my brother and sister, to fulfill your purpose of life? Submit to the truth and acknowledge the creator of all that exists. Isn't it time for you, my brother and sister, to become a Muslim? Isn't it time for you, my brother and sister, to take a step closer to paradise by taking a shahada